All right, Ian, we got voicemails. Do you know how to access the voicemails?
No.
You go to anchor.fm/the CU podcast and you leave us a message. You leave us a short one if you want.
Just testing you. I want to make sure you're on top.
Ian, are you being cheeky 2 weeks in a row?
Being cheeky.
People like cheeky, energetic Ian last week. The new job suits you well.
I'm spunky.
Apparently, you're spunky Ian. You haven't spunky. Spunky's better than surly Ian. First one.
Hey guys, it's Jacob once more from Arizona. I should mention that you can find me at youtube.com/Jacobians if anyone is interested in hearing more of my voice.
I'll send you the invoice later for the plug. Oh God, no, you didn't. Okay.
And maybe seeing my face.
Okay, Jacob. Now I don't want to use my soundboard ever again. Now I see what Ian gets on me about.
Anyway, my question to both of y'all is, have you ever watched public access shows just for the prank calls, or what is your favorite prank call you or someone else experienced or saw on TV?
Have you ever even... public access, is that a thing anymore? Public access TV?
It is.
It is?
It is.
Do we have a public access in San Diego?
I don't know. My friend Rick does public access TV.
Okay.
Rick is the
and they're
king
like totally live. You can call in and yell at him first.
Media. I don't know that I've ever actually watched public access TV. If there was public access in Buffalo, I never really caught it. Certainly wouldn't have caught it out here. My watching of live TV basically just stopped when I moved to San Diego. But yeah, I never went for it. In terms of my favorite prank calls, I hate prank calls.
No, they're low.
I hate them.
I don't like pranks where you just take advantage of people that are unwitting. You know, it's just like, come on.
Personally, I like the ones that imply that Tommy and the Intellivision peeps are...
What? Okay, whatever, dude. I don't know what that was trying to do at the end.
Neither do I.
Hey, Pat and Ian. This is Russ from the Infectious Groove podcast. Longtime listener, first-time caller.
Hits me in the chest.
I know you've discussed the Intellivision Amico
at
length's end. I just got to ask, do you honestly think that we'll ever see that console launched? I know the VCS came out eventually, limped out of the gate, and I believe is going to disappear. But I just don't know if the Amico's ever going to see a launch of any kind. And, all memes aside, all joking aside about it, I'm just wondering if you guys think that it will ever be launched.
Yes, I do. I've said this before. Me saying that does not mean it's going to come out and be what it's been touted as. It doesn't mean it's going to come out and be good. It doesn't mean it's going to come out and be successful. When I say I think it's going to launch, I think that Tommy is going to kick something into a box and send something to someone at some point and call it done because his ego is going to require it.
You think so?
He is not going to go away until he launches something.
So you don't think he wants his legacy to be that I was a failure being a game console?
Now, obviously, I could be wrong. There could be a mass exodus of investors,
employees, and money.
Employees, money. He could lose all of his retail spots, but. That's outside stuff coming in. But if Tommy is left to his own devices, something will get put in a box and shipped, and it will be laughable.
So I disagree. I think he'll go the likely route of it won't come out. He'll just blame everyone. He'll blame COVID.
Oh, that's what's going to happen if it doesn't.
He'll blame COVID. He'll somehow blame podcasters, like we have a real effect. He'll blame articles. He'll blame the haters. Everything but him.
I feel like there's going to be a video. It's not that I think it's more likely, but I would not be surprised. I do think there is a non-zero chance that there is a video that comes out in a year's time or 2 years' time where someone opens up one of the physical products that they've purchased and goes to tap it to an Amico and they get a dead link or there's an error.
Just a dead website link or something weird.
Or they're going to ship and the controllers are going to die within a week, or they're going to have horrible issues.
People have to return them. Customer service issues. Absolutely.
Tommy's ego will let him put himself. I should say that his ego will let him put himself into a position where he releases something that's in bad shape just to say that he released it.
Hey, Pat and Ian, this is Zane calling from Rochester, New York, and I have a question for Ian. Oh. I've heard you mention your record collection a couple times on the podcast, and I was wondering what styles of music do you usually collect the most? My personal collection is mostly of the metal variety, but I'm just curious to see what you're into. Also, have you ever shopped at Record Archive in Rochester? Thanks, and have a marvelous day.
I believe I have shopped at Record Archive in Rochester, and I remember really liking it. I remember it being a pretty big place.
Big place?
And I think that I remember it having like lots of different things that you could buy there besides records. My record collection is mostly ambient music and electronic music. And then there's a lot of like old happy hardcore. I have over 1,000 records. I always joke with my collection because I listen to like weirder stuff. It's hard for me to pick a record out of my collection that I feel like would go over well in a crowded room. I don't have a lot of like general, greatest hit crowd pleasers. It's a lot of weird electronic stuff.
Hey there, gentlemen. This is Matt calling again from Long Island. Hope you guys are doing well.
Hey.
My question is, if you could enter a room with any music playing in the background, kind of like how a WWE wrestler enters a room, what song would it be? Love the podcast, you guys. Be good.
I always wanted to do Trip Like I Do by, was that Filter and the Crystal Method?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Off the Spawn soundtrack.
It's a good one. I've definitely put thought into this before, and none of them are coming to mind, so I'll just say Walking on Sunshine.
That'd be good for like an insane wrestler.
Pat, Ian, this is Josh again. So my question is related to Halloween. I know it's a couple months away, but what was your favorite and least favorite Halloween costumes that you wore as a kid? Thanks.
I didn't like my ninja outfit just because the sword was so cheap. And when I faced off against another ninja in the somehow my Catholic school allowed us to have weapons. Like nowadays, you can't take weapons anywhere, like fake weapons. We faced off the two ninjas that in my class. My sword broke at the hilt. It was that cheap. It was a really cheap one of those like probably $8.99 all-in-one costumes outfits where you get like the sword. Like I did not have the deluxe ninja outfit. I'll just say I had the bargain basements. That's my least favorite one.
I think I've talked about this briefly on here before. Actually, I loved all of my youth costumes. My mom...
She made them, that's right.
My mom made them. She made awesome costumes. I went as Hobbs once. I went as Opus once. I went as a really cool pterodactyl once.
Yeah. Okay.
No, my mom...
Right.
all my childhood costumes that I can remember were great because my mom fucking loved making them.
Next.
Hi, Pat and Ian. This is Ellen from New Zealand. I'm just wondering what your favorite horror movies are. I've recently started getting into them, and I'd just like some great recommendations.
I'm not a big horror movie guy, but obviously I like the original Alien. Aliens is like action horror, which is a nice genre that you don't see too much of. I like stuff like that.
Alien is sci-fi horror. I'll leave it out just because it's one of my favorite movies. Halloween is another one of my favorite movies, but that is one. I will say this, one that doesn't get talked about a lot that I love is Reanimator. I think Reanimator is a fucking fantastic movie. Oh, it's so good.
I always bring up Friday the 13th Part 4 because I don't like slasher movies, but 4 is so well made just as a movie that like it has a good cast in it. That it rises above itself, basically. That this it stands out above all the others somehow. It's really weird.
I will say this: preaching to the choir on people who watch horror movies, but if you don't, the first 4 Halloween, or not the first 4 Halloween, the first 4 Friday the 13th movies form a fairly cohesive story, and they're good.
They should have ended it. It was supposed to be that was supposed to be it.
1 through 4 tell it. I mean, it's a great story. It's a great story. They're good movies. I think I like all of the first 4.
The effects are great in it. The practical effects are fantastic,
especially in the first one. I mean, I think the first one. I think the first one and the fourth one are both Savini. So yeah,
really?
the effects are fantastic. Yeah, they're great. And I think Friday the 13th 3 is actually really slept on. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4 is like a nice trilogy. If you can even leave out 1.
Sergeant Zombie back again, kind of what zombies do. Pat, Ian, is there any games you thought had a great idea but were just horrible, executed horribly? For me, it was Operation Raccoon City.
Actually, that's a good point. Operation Raccoon City was a cool idea that was executed poorly. Honestly, I want to say thank you for this because we're going to put this in our future folder. For a Q&A because there are lots of games. I know I've talked about this before, but they're slipping my brain right now because I'm put on the spot. But I have answers to that.
Okay, then that doesn't make it. We'll do a couple more here.
Hey Pat, hey Ian. It's Brad from Whippany again.
Whippany!
I ate some bad sushi last night and had a horrible nightmare.
Brad.
Where Nintendo was able to implement loot boxes back in the days of the SNES and NES. What do you guys think gaming would have been like back then had loot boxes existed? Thanks. Bye.
It would have been a whole shitload of my parents being like, fuck no. That's what it
So like Super Mario 3, instead of like you go into Toad's house, you actually got to pay for the chance to get like a raccoon, a tanuki suit.
You can go in Toad's house, or you can pay Nintendo right now $9.99 for 10 tanuki suits that go right into your inventory.
That's horrifying.
That's a sad thought. Yeah.
Say what you will about Nintendo. They've stayed away from the, at least on the consoles. It's different on the mobile, whatever. They
broke. They ended up off. I still think Nintendo does better with DLC than most companies.
Yeah, because you get a lot for their DLC.
You generally get a lot for a little.
You get a lot of bang for your buck there when it comes to that. Okay, we'll actually do 3 more.
What's up, Pat and Ian? Blake from Buffalo, New York here.
Yeah!
Question about the NES and the Sega Master System. Now, I know in some aspects the Master System had better specs than the NES.
We should have this one last week.
But, some. My question I have for you guys, and I've always thought and wondered, was if the Master System had the third-party support that the NES had,
yeah, we answered this, Blake, unfortunately. So,
we appreciate the question, Blake, but
you got to go back.
Tune in last week.
All right, we got 2 more quick ones here.
Hey, this question is for Ian. What do you have against Empire tattoos? Just out of curiosity.
Absolutely.
Just kidding. Doesn't matter to me. Love the show. Love you guys. Ian, just messing with you. In case you're wondering, the tattoo for me, it's more like getting a Decepticon logo tattoo. I was just a big Star Wars fan, big Vader fan. In case you're wondering, I'm not a totalitarian. Bye.
Thanks, Yoshi.
I think people really came at me for that.
Did they really?
I think they read into it a little bit. I was just shooting the shit. I don't think liking the bad guy in a fictional story makes you a bad person. I was simply just kind of messing around, being like
the cosplaying and keeping down people fighting for freedom. That's where it's a little bit weird to me.
You can get,
but then again, there's like Civil War reenactments and other stuff. Not everyone has those.
All I'm trying to say is you can definitely get to a point where you're too into it. And I use the tattoo as an example, and it's like obviously I know people like Yoshi, who's very wonderful and handsome. You're handsome too, Yoshi.
Don't try to sweet talk my Yoshi now because you insulted him.
Sweet talking him.
All right, one more.
It's fine. You're fine.
We got one more. Then
love your interest.
He's got to grab a lift in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I do.
Here's Tommy. If I sound a little different, it's because I was just out drinking with Miyamoto-san. You know we're tight like that. He calls me up, hey, Tommy, my man, let me buy you a few rounds. And I'm like, but I don't drink. And he says, come on, you big pussy. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? Turn him down? That's Sugar Ray Miyamoto, man. So we're out drinking and talking about NFTs and shit. And then all of a sudden, Jay Allard comes walking in and he says, hey, word on the street is you've been slinging my name around all over the place. You better slow your roll, buddy. And Miyamoto-san gets up like, is this guy bothering you, bro? Like, he's ready to throw hands and shit, so I gotta hold him back. I'm like, hold up, Jay. You forget. I gave you a chance where nobody would. And he said, what the fuck are you talking about? And I said, what the fuck am I? Hold it.
Oh, Tommy's been drinking apparently. Holy shit. Oh, Tom. You got to be able to hold your liquor there, buddy.
Rough miles for Tom Tallarico.
Miyamoto-san's got to hold your hair when you're throwing up in the toilet. Oh, that was a fun one.
That was good.
Oh boy, I had to not want to laugh and drown that out. Whew.